Hey guys, pretty great week of trading this week. So we had some bullish movement here. I've been pretty much saying since back really beginning of January when we were down here that I'm bullish. However, I feel like I am finally ready to start thinking about being bearish again. So let's take a look at where we're at here. I mentioned this 405.3 area right here was a major resistance, this purple channel. And that if we were to break over that and close, I would expect a continuation rally, maybe even up to the 420s. However, we had a really heavy rejection, and we did close over 405.3, but we came in really close at 405.7. So one thing I'm watching here is that we have this overall blue bull channel right here, but we also have a rising wedge within that bull channel. So we actually hit and rejected perfectly right here at 408.3, this resistance line right here. So this now has 4 rejections at it. It's a pretty strong resistance line. So what I'm watching here is with this pretty much inverted hammer candle right here, we're setting up an evening doji star pattern, which would lead to a sell-off on Monday. So I'm very much so watching for a retrace. We also have this area right here, pretty much from 400.4 to 403.1 that has no candle body interaction in it. It's just strictly wicks up here. So I will be curious to see if we will go back through and just try to fill something in here, maybe target the 401 to 402 range. Going over to the weekly, so I've been mentioning pretty much since about here this inverse potential inverse head and shoulders pattern here with this 408.8 area being resistance. So the biggest thing to recognize here is that we did break through the weekly resistance line, so that effectively is gone. However, as I have mentioned, that I feel, and based off the historical trending, is that 375.6 to pretty much 408.8 is going to be our range. This is that red channel for most of 2023. And we are now pretty much right there. We came within about 64 cents of touching that range today, and then we rejected. Another thing I'm seeing here on the SPY weekly is that we did not close over the November high of 407.2. So this is obviously, you can see the rejections. We had a rejection here at 408.8. We had a wick reject it. We had a wick reject it. So we very well could fall short of it, and we could see a turn down here. And so an aim back next week to hit that 398.6 area. However, if we remain bullish, we very well could finally hit that 417.7. So the biggest thing to watch next week is that we have FOMC on Wednesday. So Jay Powell is going to give us a basis point hike. It most likely is going to be 25 basis point hike. I have no doubt about that. But honestly, that doesn't really matter. What matters is what he says next. Is he going to tell us that we're done hiking rates? I would be blown away if Jay Powell said anything remotely dovish, telling us that he is going to stop rate hikes and that we're definitely going to pause in March. I would be extremely shocked. I think the chances of that is about 1%, even though the markets think that's what's coming next. So, with that being said, if Jay Powell comes out and says 25 basis point hike, which is obviously what's going to come, and then he says, and I believe we are going to continue to hike basis point hikes in March, and maybe even past that until the federal funds rate comes up, until they see evidence to support otherwise, I do think we're going to get a sell-off. So there's potential we could still rally into Wednesday, which is FOMC. However, I do think Wednesday will be the top, and we could very well see one of those crazy FOMCs where we get like a 2 to 3% rally intraday, and then we give it all back up on Thursday and Friday. This week is going to be a bit of a wild card week. I definitely look for a pullback on Monday just based on the daily, and then I'll get to it on the VIX and stuff like that. But from there, we very well could see a pullback or consolidation and just kind of hang out really in this 400 to 403 area until FOMC on Wednesday. This is going to be a big week to see what the markets react to Jay Powell after pretty much just being very bullish for the last month now. Looking over at futures here, futures is actually far more bearish in my opinion. So we have the same rising wedge right here. However, this rising wedge is quite extreme. And realistically, unless we open over 40.95, which is that red channel resistance, then we break this support line and we should see a bigger sell-off happen next week. So this would be the same sort of evening doji star pattern that I was talking about, where we're going to see a sell-off down here, and we'll come back and we'll try to touch this probably 430 to 40.40 area. We did not break through, which this is the December 1st high, and close over 40.95. I mentioned that was my key level on futures, which is similar to 408.8 on SPY. The levels are always going to be a little off because futures obviously trades 24/7. But this 40.95 is a major area. We touched it. We did break through the daily resistance line finally. However, we obviously rejected, and now we're back down here. So I would not be surprised to see a retest of some support, even back down to 40.55, if not all the way down to 40.40 on Monday. Taking a look at the weekly here on futures, same thing here. We did break through the weekly resistance line, and now we're just kind of in our bull channel here. We have the same inverse rising wedge right here, and you can really see it even better here, this 40.95 resistance here. You can see we have a rejection here, 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 and here. So historically speaking, and you can see the wick happens here and here, we could wick over this, but I suspect by end of week we are going to close under 40.95 and most likely under 40.75. However, in a bullish sense, we did close over the double top from November, December of 40.75, but we did not close over the double top here of, well, this is not really a double top, but the resistance top here of 40.95. So realistically, until futures closes over 40.95, I am not bullish. Continuation bullish. This was my target, and we have hit my target. So now I'm pretty much neutral, and especially with FOMC next week, I'm very neutral. I do have a bearish tendency going into early next week. I do think we're going to get a pullback. Taking a look at Tesla. Tesla is extremely just unbelievable. We had a yesterday we had a 10.97% day, and today we put in exactly an 11% day. Almost 22% rally in 2 days is absolutely insane. On a daily sense here, I mentioned that this 167.9 was a big level I was watching. And then I also mentioned we have 179.2, and then we had 197.1. Both of these are really critical levels that I'm watching. We are also already back to the daily 100 level. Same thing, we have an incredibly steep rising wedge formed here now also that I'm watching very closely. Taking a look at the Tesla weekly. So this is pretty incredible if you look at it. From the bottom down here to the top up here, we have about a 77 to, it was 77%. I didn't do it exactly there, but it's about from the low here to the high here over the last month, a 77% rally. Absolutely insane. Also, Tesla, as you can see here, put in a 33.34% green week. This, as far as I could backtest and I saw, is the biggest green week that Tesla might have ever had. There's quite a few 28 and 29% green weeks in there if you go back to like 2022 or 2020 and 2021 and stuff like that. But I did not see any weeks where Tesla closed over 30% like this. Absolutely crazy week. With that being said, we are now at this critical 178.5 area here. You can see back in December when we, November here, when we were fighting around the daily, or the weekly 200 EMA here, that we had a lot of interaction with this 178.5 and also this 195.3. I do think we are getting to a topping point here. As you can see, we also touched the weekly 20, and we're just under the weekly 200 EMA here. I do see a case where we could push to 195.5 next week, but I would be pretty surprised to see us break through it. For me, I was very, very tempted to grab some 30 DTE puts on Tesla for a pullback next week. I would target probably 165 to maybe even 150 if we really, really pulled back. However, I just feel like with the momentum and the meme stocks and everybody running, there's a chance that we could still see this run Monday and Tuesday before we get a bigger pullback. So Big thing to watch next week is the weekly 200 EMA. If we were to close over that, then I would honestly start targeting about 228 on Tesla. Take a look at the VIX here. So I mentioned before that I don't love the VIX anymore. I don't think it helps very much. However, with that being said, there are times it is helpful. So today, the interesting thing about it was when we were rallying from midday to end of day before power hour, when we dropped really hard, the VIX actually wasn't unwinding with us. The VIX did unwind in the morning. However, throughout that rally, the VIX actually was rising still. So that tells me there is some bearishness out there still. And the other interesting thing was when SPY decided to dump end of day, VIX actually came back down a little bit before it rose again. So the biggest thing I'm seeing here is that we came down and we touched this 18.3 area. We did at 17.97 put in a new 52-week low in the VIX. However, we were not able to close under 18 yet again. The last time, as you see here, where we touched this was the temporary bottom. This was on January 13th, also a Friday. And you can see that was January 13th is here. On Monday, or Tuesday, because the Monday was closed, we put in a small red day, and then we had that massive sell-off to retest support before we pushed up. We very well, in my opinion, are back to a similar position. If you were to take Tuesday as today with these same patterns here, this is that classic evening doji star pattern here. Look at the VIX here. On here, we had the classic morning doji star pattern. And now we have the same thing forming here. We're going to have probably a rise up here into that 19 to 19.2 area on Monday. And that should cause a sell-off on Monday. We also had the same thing happen, but in reverse. So on Thursday, the 19th, we had a massive evening doji star on the VIX. And then if you go back to the 19th, that was the bottom right here. We had a massive morning doji star pattern. So whenever the VIX and SPY are pretty inverse of each other, which means they actually agree, because if you remember, they're supposed to, in a sense, be opposite of each other. If the VIX and SPY disagree completely, then I agree with the pattern, and I usually put more weight into that pattern. So I am putting more weight into a pullback on Monday. However, from there, I'm not really sure where we go. A lot's going to depend on FOMC on Wednesday. My overall thesis remains that 375.6 to 409 really is our range. So the closer we are to 409, the better I like 30 to 60 DTE puts for a move back to 390. If we were to have a really bullish next week and we were to be somehow up in the 420s, I would even more aggressively look at some longer DTE puts for a pullback. The last piece of the pie here is Bitcoin. Bitcoin today finally broke through support of its impressive bull channel for its run that it's been on since January 11th. So with this breakdown, this is an early sign that this rally could be ending. So I'll be watching this closely this weekend too to see if Bitcoin can close back under 22.7K and start its sell-off down here. Overall, I do like a small pullback on Monday, and most likely Tuesday is going to be just a consolidation day. Honestly, trading on Monday and Tuesday are probably going to be highly frustrating because it's going to be low volume, waiting for FOMC. So we'll just kind of see what the week brings, but I hope you guys have had a good week trading, and I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks for tuning in for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and like to stay updated. Drop a comment if you have any questions. This is the permanent Discord link. Sometimes that does not work for whatever reason. Just go ahead and drop a comment, send me a message, and I will get you an updated link so you can get to the Discord. Some of the advantages of the Discord is I do a pre-market update with key support and resistance levels every day. And also throughout the day, I do live intraday commentary on SPY and the general market. And I also do live intraday buy and sell alerts. You can follow me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok as SPY Optionaire, and on Reddit as Daddy Dersh.